Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Off-Farm Income Podcast. Thank you very much for joining us here on our YouTube channel for episode number 769. Well, today we are going to the Rocky Mountain region of Colorado. Isn't that a whole state of Rocky Mountain region? Well, actually not really, but we are going to that Rocky Mountain region, and we're going to be speaking with Bailey Iacovetto, who is coming to us from Soroco High School out there in Oak Creek, Colorado. What an incredible life she has grown up with, working year-round, embracing the land and the landscape where she lives there in Colorado, taking people out hunting, taking people out snowmobiling, trail riding, driving cattle, working cattle, just really, really cool. It's the type of thing where only a few people in our entire country get to live their lives this way, and today we get to hear from one of them and get a magnificent picture in our minds of what it is that she does on a daily basis. So we'll start that for you right now. Joining me today is Bailey Iacovetto, and she is coming to us from Soroco High School in Oak Creek, Colorado, where she's serving as her chapter's president. Bailey, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Man, there's so much in introducing you and introducing your school. There's so much I have to pronounce correctly. So did I get the last name right?
I beg your pardon?
Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Yes, my last name was pronounced correctly.
Oh, good. And then is it Soroco or Soroco? I probably messed that up.
It's Soroco.
Soroco High School. Okay, I want to make sure and get that all right. Well, hey, what I'd like to do is I would just like to ask you a few questions just about you, Bailey, so we can get to know you a little bit before we jump into talking about your supervised agricultural experience. Would that be all right with you?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, well, how old are you?
I'm 18 years old.
18, and so that's going to put you in your senior year of high school, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, when you are not at school, when you're at home, are you on a farm, on a ranch? Are you in town? Or are you something kind of in the middle of those two things?
So my family owns an 8,000-acre ranch outside of Steamboat Springs, Colorado.
Wow. So we're going to call that a ranch. 8,000 acres, that seems like a ranch, not a farm.
It is a ranch.
Very cool. Wow, outside of Steamboat Springs. So that's Steamboat Springs. When I hear that, I think of skiing. So is it up in the high country a little bit?
Yeah, we're in the mountains. We're about 30 minutes from downtown Steamboat.
Very cool. Well, that's interesting. So is this ranch been in your family for a long time?
Yes, I am the 5th generation on Saddleback Ranch.
No kidding. Wow. Very cool. So
Yeah.
when did your ancestors first come to Colorado and start this ranch?
I would have to double check on the date, but I'm pretty sure it was in 1901 is when my great-great-grandparents homesteaded on about 50 acres of the ranch.
Wow, 50 acres at the beginning of the 20th century, and it's grown to 8,000 over that time.
Yes, sir.
Now, are there some like federal leases, Forest Service, or Bureau of Land Management and things like that included in that 8,000 acres?
We do have a couple leases, yes, from the state.
Very cool. And is it cattle? Is it sheep? Is it both?
We have mainly cattle. We have 50 cattle, a cow-calf herd that we keep on the ranch year-round. Mm-hmm. And then we also run around 2,800 head of yearling steers for Five Rivers Feedlot located in Greeley.
Okay, interesting stuff. So you're running those yearlings out there until they're ready to go into the feedlot, is that right?
So they send them to us in the spring so that they're grass-fed throughout the summer. Okay. And then every fall we ship them back to the feedlot where they will finish them, give them their finishing feed rations before they end up in the grocery store.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow, really interesting. I've been on some ranches. I don't know that I've been on a ranch that big and that beautiful of country, but very, very cool. I'm picturing it in my mind right now. So what part of Colorado, and let's use Denver as a reference, what part of Colorado is Oak Creek and your ranch in from Denver? South, northwest, east?
From Denver.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are located in the northwestern corner, so northwest of Denver.
Okay. Very, very cool. Northwest of Denver. So are you near, then you're near Wyoming and Utah, is that right?
Yeah, we're not very far from the border.
Okay, very cool. Now, how far do you have to go to get to school every day?
I usually travel around 30 to 45 minutes, depending on weather and road conditions, to get to school every day.
Okay. Do you have times when it's just too snowy and you gotta take a snow day? You can't make that drive?
I mean, snow or shine, I'm always on the road to school. I mean, there's a couple times where we do get some pretty bad snow drifts in my driveway, and there's no way to get out of it. But, I mean, if I'm late to school, I'm late to school. There's no missing a day.
Okay. Now, how long have you been part of the FFA?
So I first became a member my freshman year, so in August of 2016.
Okay, August 2016. And what made you join? Why did you want to be part of this organization?
So both my parents were very involved in the FFA program, and my mom actually graduated from Soroco High School. Mm-hmm. So I actually used to go to school in Steamboat Springs, but my school shut down my 8th grade year. And we actually live in the Steamboat Springs School District, but I went to Steamboat when I was younger. I went to a private school at that point, but I went to the public schools when I was in 2nd grade. And we just thought that since South Routt County, so Soroco, was just a rural community, it was a smaller school, it'd be easier for me to fit in since I am country. I love the outdoors and all of that. And I really wanted to follow in my parents' footsteps and enjoy what they had in high school, because FFA was actually the only thing that helped my dad graduate.
Okay. So you chose your school based on wanting to be around other students who were involved in agriculture and kind of working outdoors, and then, of course, FFA was part of that as well.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly why we wanted to come here. And plus, Soroco is the only school in our county that offers FFA and agricultural classes.
Okay, very good. So you did that. That obviously has gone well. You're serving as your chapter's president. What made you decide to join the officer team?
So my freshman year, state convention, which is always held in Pueblo, Colorado, I attended that, and just seeing how those officers had like a huge relationship with the whole officer team and just their leadership roles, it just kind of inspired me to try out for chapter offices. So my freshman year, I was actually elected the historian of the chapter, and then my sophomore year, I ran for another office and got secretary. And then at the end of my junior year, I ran again, and I am currently the president.
Very cool. Well, good for you, and what a nice achievement. Now, along the way, has there been some proficiency awards or other things like that where you've been recognized for your work?
Yes, I was actually a national finalist at the 2019 National Convention in Outdoor Recreation.
And outdoor recreation. Very cool. We'll come back to that in a minute. I want to know a lot more about that. Outdoor recreation. Interesting. Okay. Well, this is already so fascinating, Bailey. I'd love to take a moment at this point in time and just acknowledge who your FFA advisor or advisors are and have been. Who have those folks been for you?
My FFA advisor is Mr. Jay Whaley.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for acknowledging him. And I'm going to take a moment really quick, Bailey, and acknowledge a couple of our great sponsors. And everybody, of course, I want to talk about Powder River Livestock Handling Equipment. They make just absolutely fantastic squeeze chutes, sweep tubs, panels, calf tables, whatever you need for your cattle. They make them actually not too far from Bailey's Ranch, right down in Provo, Utah, and so not very far relative to the rest of the country, but they make fantastic equipment. I've toured the factory. We use a Powder River squeeze chute right here on my farm in Idaho, as well as their panels and soon-to-be calf tables, and I've grown up knowing about Powder River, living out here in the West and being around cattle ranchers and always hearing them sing the praises of this brand, and now they are a sponsor of our show. So please go over to powderriver.com, check out everything they've got to offer, and let your local farm and ranch retailer know that you would like to see Powder River equipment in their yard so you can put it on your farm or your ranch. And of course, everybody, I want to talk about lacrossefootwear.com, lacrosse boots. My goodness, love talking about lacrosse on my FFA episodes because they are so proud to support the FFA by annually supporting 15 scholarships along with 100 jackets as part of the Give the Gift of Blue program. Just what a fantastic program, and love the fact that lacrosse is one of those sponsors. And we're doing this interview in the morning. Bailey just got to school just a little while ago, and I just came in from feeding, and it's snowing this morning, and I just slipped my lacrosse Alpha Range boots off. Every day those are on my feet, and every day I am warm, dry, comfortable, and in the most rugged neoprene-based rubber boots that you can find. So please go on over to lacrossefootwear.com. Check out everything they've got to offer. They have got a ton of options for you, even if you want to get into something beyond work boots, and let them know that you heard about them here on the Off-Farm Income Podcast. All right. Well, Bailey, let's get back to you. So let's talk about your supervised agricultural experience. What have you been doing?
I beg your pardon. You cut out there for a minute.
That's okay. What have you been doing for your supervised agricultural experience?
I'm in the outdoor recreation SAE, supervised agricultural experience, and my job is very diverse. I'm a tour guide at Saddleback Ranch. I do horseback rides and cattle drives in the summertime. Buzz drive team. I'm a roping instructor at our dinner wagon rides. And then in the fall, I'm a hunting guide, so I take hunters out, help them field dress their animals when they get an elk, process the meat for them, also feed them and house them. And then every winter, I am a snowmobile guide, so I take tours, at most 3 a day.
Wow. Unbelievable. You know, there's a lot of people listening to this right now that want your life.
Oh, yeah.
I say that because it all sounds glorious, but at least outfitting, that's hard work. That's up before everybody, going to bed after everybody, and doing all the work in between, right?
Oh, yeah. It's a very, very long day, but it's totally worth it. Waking up and hiking out into a blind and hearing the elk bugle in the mornings, it's wonderful.
That is awesome. Okay. So when you're guiding hunts, I know I'm focusing in on that, but I want to get to the rest of it. When you're guiding hunts, are all the hunts done right there on your ranch, or are any of them out on National Forest?
They are all on our ranch.
Very cool. So they're all on your private ground. Really, really interesting. Okay, so let's break this down. I'll start in the spring. So right now, I guess you're probably still doing the snowmobile guiding, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you've got snowmobiling through the winter. When does that stop? Is that about March or something like that, or does it go even deeper into the spring than that?
It kind of depends on the winter and how much snow we have every spring. It's usually anywhere between like the last week of March. Sometimes we'll go into like a couple weeks into April.
Okay. Now, when somebody comes and they want to charter a guided snowmobiling trip with you or with somebody else on your ranch, are they wanting to go out and just learn how to snowmobile? Are they wanting to go out and is there something in particular they want to see, or they're just looking for a good place to go and you know how to take? What does a customer come to you guys for?
So our snowmobile tours, we have multiple different tours you can choose from that are different amounts of time, I would say. But we do offer something that I think a lot of the other local companies that also do snowmobile tours, we take them out to like a big field where they can just play around, get used to the machine and all of that. But we have a lot of customers that come out that have never seen a snowmobile before, have never really played in the snow much, and they just want to get that experience of, well, what do you guys do for fun here in the wintertime? And for me, the snowmobiling is probably my favorite part about my job. I love the snow. I love the winter. It's just a lot of fun just teaching these people how to snowmobile and kind of give them a fun time.
Very cool. So when that is over and spring comes around, do you have kind of a month or two without anybody coming out for tourism on your ranch until it gets warm and dry?
Yeah, the springs are pretty slow for us. I mean, we still offer some horseback rides every once in a while, but it's mainly our calving season, so it's everyone that's on the ranch, it's all hands on deck during calving, so it's kind of our off season.
And then during the summer, you're leading trail rides, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, trail rides, and then did you say cattle drives as well?
Yeah, we wanted our guests to really get a full Western experience.
Okay.
And so every day we have a cattle drive that people can make a reservation to come on, and nothing that we do is staged. We have so many cattle, and we're always managing feed in every pasture on the ranch, that we're constantly moving these cattle to ensure that they're gaining the right amount throughout the summer. So our guests are basically coming out and helping us with the job that really needs to be done. So like I said, nothing staged, and everyone absolutely loves it.
Very cool. And then on the trail rides, how long is a typical ride? Like, is it all day? Is it just a couple hours?
So our trail rides, we offer 2 a day. It's 2 hours each. We have a morning ride and then an afternoon ride. And then our cattle drives, we only offer in the mornings, and it's around 3 to 4 hours, just usually whenever the job gets done.
Okay, really cool. Do you do any, like, will you pack people in, like if they want to, say, camp up at an alpine lake or something like that, will you do any of that type of outfitting, haul their gear in for them and get them up there, or is it simply the trail rides and the cattle drives?
It's just the cattle drives and horseback rides. We don't do any of the hiking in and stuff like that.
And so you've got that going on all summer, and then I would suppose after Labor Day, after tourism season kind of dies down, it would slow down a little bit right up until elk season starts. Is that October for you in Colorado?
We have archery and muzzleloader that usually happens in September.
Okay.
And then we do have a little bit of a break between that and then our rifle season, which starts in October.
Gotcha. Now, your elk hunters that you're guiding, are you taking them to like a spike camp and they're staying up in the mountains, or are they staying down like at a cabin on the lower area and you're taking them in every day?
So we have a cabin on the ranch that we house them on, and then we have, a lot of our hunters are older gentlemen that have been coming for as long as I can remember, so I consider them family at this point.
Okay.
So we don't do too much hiking into a blind. Every once in a while we'll have some younger guys, and we'll make them hike into a blind and just sit there until lunchtime. But we do drive them in on ranger buggies, and just kind of set them in the blinds, tell them where we think the elk is going to come out, just kind of spot and listen, and then that we make sure that all of our hunters have our numbers so that if someone has an elk down, they can text us and say, hey, I have one down, I'm in this area, and all of that. So,
man, what a weird world we live in these days. You probably don't even remember the world before being able to text your guide and say, I've got an elk down. That has not always existed. And to be up there.
Oh yeah, it's I mean, when I was really little, our cell phones never really worked on the ranch, so we would just take walkie-talkies, let's say radios out there, and it was really difficult trying to be quiet on one of those, and then also trying to understand what the other person was saying. But yeah.
Oh wow, that is really, really cool. So how long does it take you to field dress an elk?
Usually it takes about 3 guides to just go on ahead and get it done, and it's usually around like 15 to 20 minutes.
Wow, very cool. Well, I field dressed a couple myself, and I am nowhere near that fast. Not even close. Very cool.
Yeah.
So I know you've got great elk there in Colorado, but you've also got, well, I think Colorado is the #1 Boone and Crockett mule deer state, period. And so I know there's big mule deer there as well. Do you guide anybody for deer hunting, or is it strictly elk?
We mainly just do elk. Every once in a while we'll bring in a couple bear hunters because we do have bear on the ranch. And then every winter we'll bring in at around like 1 or 2 mountain lion hunters, but that's about it.
That is fascinating. So you've been doing this, well, it sounds like your whole life. How has your responsibility kind of grown and evolved over time?
Yeah, so when I was really little, I just kind of followed around my dad and my mom, just kind of helping them with like the little chores that needed to be done, like watering the trees and the yards and all of that. But when I was 15 is when I first started guiding.
Mm-hmm.
I was what they consider a tail whip guide. So I just follow the guests on Snowmobile Tours, just make sure they don't get stuck. And then I was also just that little extra wrangler just to answer questions if anyone had them on horseback rides or anything like that. I would say that around the age of 17 is when I started to get more responsibilities. I am now in charge of training new snowmobile guides, as well as helping train new wranglers on what we do and how everything is supposed to work every morning and how things work at night, putting all the gear away. So I've definitely gained a lot of responsibility since 15 when I first started guiding.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, here you are. You're 18. You're going to be graduating high school here shortly. What will be next for you, Bailey?
So I actually plan on running for a state FFA office in June. And then after that, I will be attending the University of Wyoming to study agricultural education with an emphasis in ag communications.
Very cool. So ag communications. Now, how did you choose the University of Wyoming? Is that proximity-based, or was there another reason that you were going outside the state of Colorado?
I wanted to go somewhere outside of Colorado, but yet also stay somewhere close to home. And UW is only about like a 2 to 3 hour drive from my house, so it's not too far. It's easy to come home on the weekends and snowmobile with my family. So.
Okay, very cool. Well, Wyoming is a beautiful state. I went to college in Montana, so I was in Bozeman, so just almost due north of you, I guess, but a few hours. You got to go through some national parks to get there. But very, very cool. And then I live over near Boise, Idaho now, so we play Wyoming in football and basketball every year, and it's become a bit of a rivalry. They generally have a pretty good football team over there in Wyoming.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool. So ag communications, you're going to study. How did you choose that major, at least at this point? I'm not going to hold you to it for the next 4 years, but for right now, what about ag communications appealed to you?
So I wanted to, my ag teacher really inspired me to teach agriculture. So I want to teach high school agriculture. And then when I went and talked to the university, they said that there were 3 different pathways in an education major with agriculture that you could go down, and it was either animal science, ag business, or ag communications. And I have a really good friend who works in Billings, Montana, who has a communication major in agriculture, and I just talking to her, like, that really interested me, and I think that having that emphasis in like an education major could be really helpful, bringing something back to the classroom in the future.
Very cool. So you want to teach ag. That's wonderful. Do you want to teach it close to home so you can continue to work on the ranch as well?
I actually plan on moving to Wyoming. I have family up there, and I fell in love with the state.
Okay.
So that's my goal. But yes, I'd like to stay a little closer to home so I could come home in the summertime and just kind of help around on the ranch and all of that. So.
Very cool. Well, Bailey, I'm jealous. You're living an incredible life, and you've got a lot upcoming too. That's going to be pretty awesome. Living right there in the Rocky Mountain region. Very, very cool. I want to ask your advice for other students really quick before we sign off. For other students out there who are looking around them and they're seeing the opportunities that are available to them, no matter what those are, what would your advice be for them in terms of taking full advantage of those?
Well, there's a quote that I've really lived by throughout high school, and it's shoot for the moon, and even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. And I really like that quote because, I was a national finalist, and just being up there on stage, being the top 4 in the nation for something that I'm really passionate about was such an amazing experience. Even though I didn't win, I came home and I realized that I was the first person from the Soroco FFA chapter to ever be a national finalist in a supervised agricultural experience. So not only did I shoot for the moon, and yes, I did miss, but I'm still up there among the stars. Just shoot for the stars and you'll get there.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. I've been to the National Convention. I've been right down there below the stage watching the presentations, and it really is incredible for you to be one of 4 up on that stage. There's over 700,000 FFA students at that convention. This year there was just right at 70,000 students, I believe, and of those 70,000 who were there, they put 4 on the stage, and you're one of those. That's pretty special.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience.
Very cool. Well, Bailey, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing all this with us today and giving me these wonderful images of those Colorado mountains. And good luck to you going forward.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. Really appreciate you being here. Special thanks to Bailey Iacovetto for coming on as well. And as always, enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture.